Hey guys, Aubrey here, and man, do I have a doozy for you. It's one of those classic I don't work here lady moments that just spirals into pure, unadulterated retail madness. So grab your popcorn, cause this one's a wild ride. It was a pretty standard Saturday. Me and my fiance, let's call him Dave, cause that's his name and he's a good sport, we're doing the weekly grocery haul. You know the type of place. One of those giant superstores where you could probably get lost for days if you're not careful. We were deep in the heart of it, the canned goods aisle, locked in the age-old debate, pinto beans or black beans for chilly night. Riveting stuff, I know. Suddenly, Dave nudges me, a little smirk playing on his lips. Aubrey, he says, kinda quiet, I think that lady down there has you pegged for an employee. I peeked past a mountain of canned tomatoes. Sure enough, there's this woman at the end of the aisle, clutching a single can of corn like it holds the secrets to the universe. She's craning her neck, eyes darting around with that signature, I need to speak to the manager of this aisle look. Oh great, I muttered, a laugh already bubbling up. Well, she's out of luck. My uniform today is slightly stressed civilian. Famous last words. Before I could even pretend to be intensely interested in the sodium content of chickpeas, she was marching towards us. Not walking, marching, purposefully. She zeroed in on me, completely ignoring Dave. Excuse me, her voice was a tad sharp, like she'd already been waiting for hours. Where are the canned vegetables? I gave her my most polite, non-committal smile. Oh, sorry, I don't actually work here. Just a customer like you. I even gestured vaguely at our cart, which was slowly filling with things that were definitely not store merchandise. She blinked, like a slow, deliberate blink, as if I'd just told her the sky was plaid. Then she huffed, a small, indignant sound. Well, you look like you should know. Can you just point me in the right direction? Her eyes flicked over my very casual, non-uniform t-shirt and jeans as if they were, in fact, a cleverly disguised employee outfit. Okay, a little more insistent than I expected. Honestly, I'm not sure, I said, trying to keep the amusement out of my voice. We just got to this aisle ourselves. Pretty sure it's all canned goods here, though. I gestured around at the shelves, groaning under the weight of well-canned goods. She wasn't having it. Her face tightened and she turned to Dave, completely dismissing me. Well, can he help me then? Some people are just so unhelpful. Dave, bless his patient heart, piped up, Ma'am, she really doesn't work here. We're just shopping. But, I think all the canned veggies are generally grouped together, maybe further down. He pointed vaguely down the aisle we were already in. You think, she snapped, her voice rising a notch. Aren't you supposed to know? What kind of store is this? It was like my non-employment was contagious and had somehow infected Dave with incompetence. This was getting good. Lady, I chimed in, losing a bit of my politeness, we're in the canned goods aisle. You're holding a can of corn, you're looking for canned vegetables. I think you've cracked the Da Vinci Code, honestly. Her head whipped back to me, eyes narrowing. Don't you get smart with me. I saw you stocking shelves earlier in the produce section, you can't fool me. I burst out laughing then, I couldn't help it. Stocking shelves? Ma'am, the closest I've been to stocking anything today was deciding if we needed 1 or 2 bags of coffee. And produce? That was like 3 aisles and a philosophical debate about avocados ago. This is ridiculous, she declared, her voice now loud enough to turn a few heads. One guy, a chap with an impressive beard who was contemplating some artichoke hearts, glanced over. I need assistance and you're deliberately being obstructive. The bearded artichoke guy ambled a bit closer. Ma'am, he said, his voice calm, they look like they're just shopping. The signs are pretty big, you know, canned vegetables and all that. He pointed up at the giant sign hanging above us. She shot him a look that could curdle milk. Mind your own business, I'm dealing with lazy employees. Then she turned back to me, jabbing a finger. I demand you take me to the canned peas right now or I'm reporting you to your manager. Report away, I said, shrugging, a grin plastered on my face. My manager is my cat Mittens. He's pretty chill about customer complaints, mostly sleeps through them. As for the peas, again, I don't work here. But if you use your eyes, they're probably labeled. Dave stepped slightly in front of me. Okay, ma'am, I think we're done here. We're just going to get our beans and go. You're not going anywhere, she shrieked, actually taking a step to try and block our cart. You can't just refuse to help a customer. Just then, like an angel descending from the fluorescent-lit heavens, a genuine store employee, complete with a name tag and a branded polo shirt, rounded the corner, probably drawn by the commotion. Is everything all right over here? He asked. his gaze sweeping over us and landing on the fuming woman. "No, it's not all right," she practically yelled, spinning to face him. "This employee here," she jabbed her finger dramatically towards me, "is refusing to help me find the canned peas and has been incredibly rude and uncooperative. I want her written up." The employee looked at me, then at my very much not a uniform, then back at the woman. He had that weary, seen-it-all-before expression that retail workers perfect. "Ma'am," he said, his voice a perfect blend of patient and tired, "she doesn't work here." "I do. The canned peas are about 10 feet that way, right next to the corn you're holding. Section C." He pointed very clearly. The woman stared. Her mouth opened, then closed, then opened again like a goldfish. The color drained a little from her face, then came rushing back as a splotchy red. She looked at me, then at the employee, then at the sign that indeed said Canned Vegetables Section C. Without another word, she spun on her heel, her can of corn still clutched tight, and practically power-walked towards Section C, muttering something under her breath that sounded suspiciously like incompetent staff everywhere. Dave and I just looked at each other. The bearded artichoke guy gave us a sympathetic nod. "Well," I said to Dave, finally grabbing a can of black beans, "that was an adventure. Chili night is definitely on." And that, my friends, was my Saturday. Hope yours was less eventful.
You've survived 2 Reddit roller coasters. Might as well subscribe before the third wrecks you emotionally.
You ever just try to do a good deed, feel all warm and fuzzy inside, and then bam, you get slammed with a full-blown Karen meltdown for your troubles? Yeah, that was my Tuesday. It all started innocently enough. I'm Bruno, and I work at a bank, but not that bank. I was just minding my own business, sorting through the morning mail, when I spotted a letter that clearly belonged to our rivals across the street. I thought. This shouldn't be here. Most people would probably just toss it in the return to sender pile or leave it for someone else, but I figured, why not just drop it off? It was literally a 2-minute walk, and I was heading out for lunch anyway. Good karma, right? So during my lunch break, I ambled over, popped inside the other bank, and handed the misdirected letter to a teller. She was super grateful, thanked me, and I walked out feeling like a regular Goodwill ambassador. Mission accomplished. I was just a block from my own bank, enjoying the sunshine, when I heard my name. "Bruno, is that you?" It was Bob, an old buddy I hadn't seen in ages. We started catching up right there on the sidewalk. Work, the usual gripes, what ridiculous thing our favorite football team had done lately. It was a genuinely nice moment, just 2 friends shooting the breeze, completely oblivious to the approaching storm. Then came the theatrical clearing of a throat, loud enough to make both of us jump. We turned to see a woman in her late 60s, practically radiating indignation. She had on this bright, almost aggressive, red hat and a matching scarf that made her impossible to ignore. Her face was set in a grim, unyielding scowl. We'll call her Karen. "Excuse me," she barked, not asked. "Are you going to help me or just stand there gossiping?" She gestured impatiently towards an ATM behind us, clearly implying we were derelict in some imagined duty. I blinked, genuinely surprised. "Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am," I said, trying to be polite, "but I actually don't work here. I was just visiting from another bank and happened to run into my friend." Karen's eyes narrowed as if she'd just caught me trying to pull a fast one. "Don't work here," she scoffed, crossing her arms. "That's a load of rubbish. I saw you come out of this bank just minutes ago. You're clearly trying to avoid doing your job." I let out a little chuckle, thinking maybe she was just confused. "No, really," I tried again. "I was just dropping something off for them. I'm actually a customer here just like you." My chuckle did not go over well. Her face began to flush. "You think this is funny?" she snapped. "You're laughing at me. I know your type. You pretend to be a customer to get out of helping people. That's just lazy." "Whoa, hold on a sec," Bob interjected, stepping slightly forward. He's usually pretty chill, but he could see I was getting flustered. "He's telling you the truth, ma'am. He genuinely doesn't work for this bank. He can't help you with the ATM." This apparently was the wrong thing to say. Karen swiveled her furious gaze to Bob. "Oh, so now you're in on it too, are you?" Her voice was starting to rise, attracting a few curious glances from passersby, trying to cover for your lazy friend. "Both of you ganging up on a poor old woman." "Ma'am, we're not ganging up on anyone," I tried, my patience wearing thin. "We're just telling you that we can't operate the ATM because we're not employees." Liars, she shrieked, her face now a blotchy red. You're both liars. This is outrageous. I'm going to take all my money out of this bank and move it somewhere else right this instant. She made a dramatic huffing sound, like a bull ready to charge, and started stomping back towards the bank entrance, muttering loudly about unhelpful youths and scammers. Bob and I just stood there, mouths agape, watching her go. We didn't even know what to say. How do you argue with that? Just then, a woman in a bank uniform, who had been lingering near the entrance, walked over to us with a sympathetic smile. I am so sorry about that, she said, shaking her head. I actually work here. And I can confirm that neither of you works for us. She gets like that sometimes. We thanked her, feeling a rush of vindication mixed with total bewilderment. Bob and I just looked at each other and burst out laughing. We couldn't believe it. A simple good deed, a chance encounter with an old friend, and it turned into a full-blown accusation of fraud and a threat to divest all of Karen's imagined millions. As we finally walked away, still chuckling, I couldn't help but wonder if she actually went through with it. Would some poor teller have to deal with her trying to transfer her life savings because two random guys wouldn't help her with an ATM? The absurdity of it all was just peak Reddit story material, honestly. And that, my friends, is why sometimes good intentions can lead you straight into the eye of a very, very red-hatted storm. You ever have one of those days where you just know, deep in your gut, that something's about to go sideways? Yeah, I had one of those. And let me tell you, it went so far sideways, it ended up in a police cruiser with a woman screaming my name. I'm Jace, by the way, and this happened a few months back at the automotive business complex where I work. My gig, valet, detailer, general dog's body at one of the car wash bays. Standard uniform, a crisp red polo with the company logo stitched on the chest, usually a bit greasy by lunchtime, but that day, I was looking pretty sharp. It was a slow Tuesday afternoon. I was leaning against the service desk, just minding my own business, discreetly checking my bank balance on my phone. You know how it is, gotta make sure the rent's covered, right? That's when this woman, mid-40s, driving a pristine black SUV, rolled up to the lot. She looked a little lost, scanning the various office buildings that lined the complex. I figured she'd eventually ask for directions, and I was ready to point her toward the info kiosk. She let out a couple of polite-ish coughs. I barely registered them, still scrolling through my transactions. Then came a throat clearing that sounded like a foghorn, sharp enough to cut through my focus. I glanced up just as she marched up to me, a steely glint in her eyes. Before I could even open my mouth, her hand shot out, clamping around my shoulder. She spun me around to face her, practically yanking me off my feet. Hey, can you help me with something? She snapped, her voice tight with impatience. I was more confused than annoyed, but my politeness kicked in. Sure, what can I help you with? Before I could finish the sentence, she swatted my phone right out of my hand. It clattered onto the concrete. You've been ignoring me for your phone, she shrieked, her voice rising several octaves. My confusion evaporated, replaced by a sudden jolt of pure anger. Hey, what was that for? I demanded, bending down to snatch my phone back, inspecting it for cracks. Thankfully, it seemed okay. I was just checking my bank account. She ignored me, pointing imperiously toward her SUV. Take my car. Park it in Office 3, Bay 6. Now. I blinked. Office 3, Bay 6. Ma'am, I don't. She cut me off, her eyes blazing. You shouldn't even have your phone out at work, she yelled, lunging forward and snatching my phone again before I could react. She clutched it like a trophy, a smug, righteous expression on her face. Okay, now I was beyond frustrated. My blood was starting to boil. Ma'am, I really don't know what you're talking about. I work for the car wash. I need to know what to do with your car, but I don't work for any office. Move it, she barked, throwing her keys at me. They landed with a jingle, not quite in my hand, but near my feet. She jabbed a finger towards her car, her face a mask of furious entitlement. Stop being lazy and just do your job. I picked up her keys, my head swimming. This was just absurd. I'm telling you, I don't know what to do with your car because I don't work for any office here. You're refusing to work, she screamed, her voice echoing across the lot. You're lazy and rude. Just then, like a guardian angel in a fluorescent vest, our site manager, Mark, rounded the corner. He took in the scene, me, holding keys with a bewildered expression, and this woman, red-faced and practically vibrating with rage. Jace, everything all right here? Mark asked, his brow furrowed. Before I could even get a word out, she spun on Mark, unleashing her fury. He's being rude and refusing to move my car. He's just standing there with his phone, ignoring customers. Mark held up a hand, a calm, authoritative presence. Ma'am, I think there's been a misunderstanding. Jace works for the car wash, not one of the offices, and you assaulted him by hitting his phone. Her eyes practically bugged out of her head. Assaulted him. He was ignoring me, and you're just as rude as he is. I demand you move my car right now. Mark's face hardened. He took a step closer to her. Ma'am, based on your behavior and physical assault, I'm placing you under citizen's arrest until the police arrive. Her jaw dropped. For a split second, she looked utterly dumbfounded. Then pure panic flared in her eyes. She let out a guttural shriek, threw my phone onto the ground again, and bolted towards her SUV, fumbling for the door handle. In her haste, she tripped over her own feet and went sprawling onto the asphalt, a heap of flailing limbs and designer clothes. Mark, ever the professional, sighed and helped her back up, holding her gently but firmly by the arm. She was still cursing and squirming, but her initial momentum was gone. Just as he got her steady, 2 police cruisers pulled into the lot, lights flashing. It was over pretty quickly after that. She was still kicking and screaming as they cuffed her and put her in the back of one of the cruisers, yelling, "You'll regret this," and "Jace, you're fired," at the top of her lungs, even though she had no idea what my name was. A tow truck arrived shortly after, hooking up her shiny black SUV. She doesn't even work at any of the offices on site, Mark told me later, shaking his head. Never seen her before, don't know what was going through her mind that day. I still wonder about it sometimes. What if I had just taken her keys and tried to park her car in Office 3, Bay 6? Would she have cooled off, or would it have just made things worse? Probably the latter. Some people, man, they're just somewhere else. You never really know what kind of crazy you're gonna run into when you're just trying to do your job, and sometimes it's completely off the meds. And that's the story, folks. Wild one, right? Let me know what you think in the comments below.
Still in the mood for more? Watch this video next.